Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And we got a big show today planned. We're going to have on at 1:15 2022 prospect Frey Emby from West Oaks Academy out of Orlando, Florida. The 2022 wing prospect was one of the first that was contacted when the early period started for juniors on the basketball side of things. Coach Muss and them reached out to Frey. We'll talk to him shortly and find out, just where Arkansas sits in there. He doesn't have an offer yet, but a lot of heavy interest from Coach Musman, and we'll find out if it's reciprocated. And then we're going to head to Spartanburg, South Carolina for more Hog guys, as we're going to run in and talk to 2022 offensive line prospect Eli Henderson. There's a story with Eli. Coach Sam Pittman gave him his very first offer at the University of Georgia, and that relationship has translated over. Coach Davis gets involved, and we'll find out just the relationship and how that's going between Coach Davis, Coach Pittman, and Eli himself. But I want to bring in my co-host, producer, the man behind the scenes. Once again, I want everybody to know all beats have been produced by Sauced Up Entertainment, LLC. Go check out their YouTube page, Demigod, Conley for 3. A lot of good artists and a lot of good stuff they're cooking up behind. You'll like most of those beats, because I know I do, but we're going to bring him in now. Demigod, better known as Demetrius Johnson. What's up, my man?
What's down with it, Pat?
Hey, we got a big week. I think Arkansas also came out, Demetrius. ESPN has Arkansas's football class right now rated 25th in the country. And when you think about that, that's huge. There's not been any on-campus visitation, interaction. No evaluation for the coaches to get out to these schools and look at these kids, but 25th in the country with 12 commitments. Pretty impressive, don't you think?
Oh, I think it's absolutely impressive, to not have won any SEC games in the last 4 years. You're a new head coach. You haven't played any games.
Right.
You haven't installed any philosophies. You haven't got anybody drafted from your university. Well, that's not true in Sam Pittman, because he does have a resume here in Arkansas from former draft picks. So actually, it doesn't surprise me when I look at who he is and what I know he knows.
And my question to you, Demetrius, is we all know when Sam was here from 13 to 15, the makeup of a football team was smash mouth football. You bring in Kendall Briles, and you marry that with Coach Sam Pittman, an offensive line guru and an offensive-minded coordinator. What do you think, personally, that will be the definition of this football team?
I think I think you're gonna use the word finesse. I think it's gonna be a finesse team,
right?
And they're really gonna have control over what they do and make the defense do. I think when you look at the type of athletes that they're recruiting and what I know this offensive line will look like in 2 years. A year from now.
Right.
It's going to be dangerous. There's going to be some athletes all across the board, and I think Arkansas is going to start seeing a series of 5 to 4 stars just flooding in on the regular.
I mean, you just look at what Coach Pittman brought in last year on the offensive line. Ray Curry was 6'6", 315 pounds. Jalen St. John, 6'5", 310 pounds. Marcus Henderson, 6'5", 300 pounds. Terry Wells, 6'6", 310 in this upcoming class. Cole, 6'5", 290. And then you have Devon Manuel at 6'8", 310. So when you look at the athletic ability and the size, I mean, Coach Pittman said he was going to get some dudes, Demetrius. And we all know that when Coach Pittman left, so did the physicality of the offensive line play at Arkansas. It left as well. So with that being said, I'm like you. I think it's going to be a very balanced offense. Arkansas, over the years and history of the fans and people that have covered this program, they're best and most dangerous when they're a balanced offensive team, when they can run and pass. I.e., you go back to Darren McFadden, the Marcus Monk group, Casey Dick as quarterback. That was Felix Jones. That was a very balanced offense. Peyton Hillis, a very balanced, dangerous offense. And I think when you're a balanced offense in football, at any school, you have a chance to be really, really, really special when you can run the football, but also pass when you think you need to pass.
Yeah, I just think it gives you the ability to be creative and catch the defense in different positions. Because if I don't know what you're doing, I'm really not prepared to what's coming at me. So I think you'll utilize guys that maybe wouldn't have the type of success they would in other programs, but because they're on a team that is well balanced and there's so many different things that you have to prepare for. Like I said yesterday, you're gonna have Rakeem in the backfield. You're gonna have to worry about loading the box. You got a guy in Felipe Franks that can throw the ball deep downfield,
Right.
or be a dual threat and use his legs. We've seen him do that successfully here in the SEC.
Right.
Then you throw in a Traylon Burks and a Trey Knox and a Mike Woods. Okay, there's three top. You know, when you look at the trio that's in the SEC right now, you can definitely put Arkansas's trio top five.
Yes.
If you go through and just even off the stats that were put up last year, when you're talking about production, Arkansas is going to be in that top group when you look up there as far as returners and skill players coming back. I think Arkansas is going to be up there.
Hey, look at this, Demetrius. This is another astonishing fact that I really thought quite a bit about with this Sam Pittman and his staff. They had 4 weeks to close that gap that they closed from 120 to 29 last year in the 20 class. They've had no visitors, and they're 25th in recruiting this year. So in just a little over about 6 months, you see where I'm going? Give this staff a year and give them all, in-person interaction with these kids, and they get on campus and see what Arkansas and these facilities have to offer. Brad Davis said it in an initial sit-down we had several months ago. It's going to be hard to tell this group no, and I firmly believe that I think, and we talked about it to make sure they get 5 or 6 wins, we're going to be talking about a very, very, very special 2022 class. And, for the most part, this 21 class still has a chance to get even higher in the rankings, which I think they will. I think you'll see a lot more 4 and 5 stars, and you could see some big-time flips from some kids committed to other places. I think that's going to take place as this season wears on and kids get more familiar with the culture that Coach Sam Pittman is building here in Fayetteville. But we're going to take a real quick break, and then when we come back, we're all the way in Orlando, Florida at West Oaks Academy. Phrase up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Welcome back. It's our Tuesday edition of OTH here on KDSJ 479. Momentarily trying to make connection with our 2022 wing guests, Frey and Gumby out of Orlando, Florida, West Oaks Academy High School. We'll try to get him on during this segment. But we got a question from Mr. Vernon Johnson. Demetrius, you know who that might be? Mr. Vernon Johnson.
Oh, that's Bishop down there in Enterprise, Alabama.
Well, Bishop Johnson's question is, Pat, who do you see as the leaders of the team, offense and defense? Without question, will have to be Felipe Franks and Rakeem Boyd. I just think those two guys, where they are in their careers and their body of work, Felipe is a proven SEC winner. You know, we all know for the last 2 years what Rakeem Boyd has accomplished here at the University of Arkansas. To get 1,000 yards with the lines that he's had speaks volumes. So I think it will be, in my opinion, it's going to be Felipe Franks and Rakeem Boyd on the offensive side. Defensively, Demetrius, that's up in the air right there. I would have to see probably, who could you say?
Well, since you took offense, I guess I'll pick two off of defense. I'm going to go Levi Draper and I'll go Cho Fouché. Those are two guys that I think, one that Sam Pittman trusts. That was one of the earlier guys that he reached out to, and one of the guys that really jumped on board when he found that Coach Pittman was going to be the head coach here at the University of Arkansas.
I may have a defensive one too.
And then I go Joe Fouché as well. I think he's just the type of guys that guys look up to. I just remember last year when guys just needed to get some momentum going and somebody make a big play. It was usually Joe to do something, whether it was a tackle or a strip or just being in the play. He always seemed like the guy that everybody on the defensive side looked at, and even upperclassmen. I saw upperclassmen looking at, and he was only a sophomore. So I think that's a guy that's really going to come up and develop and make some big plays for Arkansas this year.
I think possibly a guy that has a chance to really be a leader, and he's going to be a new guy. I think Xavier Kelly. I think with his experience being at the national championship games, playing on teams that have been to the playoffs, I think he will be able to kind of show that defensive side of the ball how to prepare for big time games. I also too think that I think John Marshall, senior defensive tackle, I think he has a chance. He's not been real vocal, but we all go back to that time, Demetrius. This is a guy that you're really high on, Trey Flowers. We all know that covering him his first 3 years, didn't say a lot, but that senior year became very vocal, and we all know how that story ended in the Texas Bowl with one of the better defenses to come through the University of Arkansas, in my opinion. Just my opinion. But when you look at it, this COVID situation, Demetrius, LSU comes out with multiple players having tested positive. Where is the SEC at right now? I mean, I'm of the belief we're still going to have football. I don't know under what provisions, but we will have football. With Arkansas' situation, is that a good thing or a bad thing going forward?
I think the COVID thing kind of reset the SEC. I'm not going to say, Alabama's still not at the top of the charts. I'm not going to say LSU still not the returning champion. But what I am saying is I think with the lack of practices and everybody having that chemistry right off the bat, I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was in previous years being in the SEC. And I think if you do want to have a new contender and a new blue blood come out of the SEC, the next 2 years is the prime time to do it. I think within the next 2 to 3 years, Nick Saban will be out of here as far as head coaching. So then that's going to be a passing of the torch. I do think Ed Orgeron down at LSU will be there for at least 2 to 4 years. But we already know how LSU is. Once you get a national championship, that becomes a standard. And if you don't uphold those standards, they'll get rid of you even if you're winning 8 to 9 games.
Yes, they will.
So we don't know what that situation is like.
He created a monster, and he got to feed it.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's going to be the same way for Sam Pittman here. I think because, but the difference is because he'll be the first official one to win one in the new era. I think he'll be more received to somewhat be able to leave when he's ready to get done, because I think he'll create his own legacy, and that means.
See, and I look at this program. I was talking to a buddy of mine before we came on the air, and we were talking, and I kind of liken this situation with Sam Pittman walking in, as did Houston Nutt. Maybe not to the degree, but they both are coming off very tumultuous seasons prior. Arkansas 2-10, for Sam 4-7, or 4-8 when Coach Houston Nutt took over. But there was always talent in that program. It was just a lack of motivation, not connecting with the entire staff and feeling like a family. And I think that's when you talk to these kids, or you see these kids out and about, and you get a chance to sit down, as we have multiple times with these assistants, you get the sense that this is a team hungry for wins. This is a team ready to win, and this is a team ready to play and leave it out on the football field. And there was times I didn't think that they did that last year. I can go back to that San Jose State game, thought they absolutely dropped the ball. Years before that, North Texas, Western Kentucky. When you look at this, Demetrius, it just seems like a new infusion of energy. I mean, like I said, keep going to Ricky Stromboy from 270 to 300 pounds. Traylon Burks, he's gained even more weight in the weight room. Good weight. That's SEC. The bodies I'm seeing over there are starting to look like SEC bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see definitely a resurgence. And, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the new addition of the strength and conditioning coach, and how that kind of rejuvenized the players, just the different type of routines and guys learning from a strength and conditioning coach that's been around championship football.
Right.
I really didn't understand. My dad always talks about it. We talk about it all the time. Championships.
Yeah.
But we really don't understand how important the make of champions are. It takes a lot of behind the scenes work that people really don't understand that it takes. And something just as small as the strength and conditioning coach has such a big impact. Although he doesn't get the credit that a head coach would or a coordinator would, but he's just as important. And I think when you get guys that's been in those championship teams and been around guys that played at a high caliber a level, you understand the little nuances and you're ready to receive it more. I think one thing last year the issue was some players felt smarter than the head coach.
Maybe they might have been.
And you never want your players to feel like you're smarter than the head coach.
Yes.
And I think now guys are around a staff that they feel comfortable with, that they feel are knowledgeable, that have the resume, that have the attention to detail. When you speak of Barry Odom, he has a SEC championship under his belt.
Yes.
So those are different standards and requirements.
And he got that. People might want to know and make it know. He got that championship at Missouri as the defensive coordinator for the University of Missouri when they went back-to-back years to the SEC championship game. Barry was the orchestrator of those defenses during that time period.
And I just think about the type of draft picks that was coming out there with Michael Sam. You had there was another. They had like 3 defensive ends go in the top. I want to say 1 or 2 rounds for like 3 years straight.
Yeah, Michael Sams, I know, and then the young man that went to Denver, the defensive end, that had tested, I think, for a little marijuana and then got that clear in Denver, picked him up. He was first team All-SEC during that time.
Yeah, I remember exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the guy's name, but
the name will come to us eventually. I mean, we've seen and talked about so many kids over the years in the SEC. Just unbelievable. Any more questions we may have?
I don't think nobody's trying to check.
Want everybody to know we're still trying to make a connection with Frey and Gumby, the 2022 wing out of West Oaks Academy in Orlando, Florida. We're trying to make contact and have him on before we leave this show. But if not, hey, we'll still continue to try to get him on and have him talk about those Razorbacks and where Coach Musman and staff sit. Another thing I've really thought about, Demetrius, is SEC wins realistically. I think this football team can get at least 3 wins. And I think this team can beat Missouri and they can beat the Mississippi schools. Could go 4-4. I've always believed that A&M game is that's the door handle game. Whichever way that game goes, that's the way the door opens for Arkansas for the duration of the year. So I think that's going to be real big. But I think this team can win 3 and possibly go 3-5 in the SEC this year, which, considering, man, that'd be like going 8-0.
We were talking before the show started, and I was talking about how Barry Odom's going to win 2 games by himself.
I believe that.
And what I mean by that is just the strategies and understanding of how he's going to run this defense is.
Not to mention he has experience in the SEC and kind of can understand the landscape. I think that's real big for a coach.
Absolutely, and I think he's going to stop some teams from scoring.
Right.
I don't think Mike Leach is going to come in year 1 able to install the type of offense that he thinks he's going to be able to do.
He better install
in the SEC. I think
if he plays defense, I tell you what, if he plays defense at Mississippi State like he did at Washington State, Demetrius, they won't win a game.
And like I said, it's so much turmoil outside the football program right now in the state of Mississippi that I think that's even going to be a distraction.
Right. When their big-time running back comes out and says, if you don't change, then I'm not going to represent. I mean, there's a lot going on. You're right about that. A lot going on down in the South.
So that's a lot. That's the team's chemistry isn't even right. So that right there gives me I give Arkansas the advantage in that game.
Right.
And then you look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is kind of quiet right now. They haven't really made a lot of
Old
noise.
Lane, he ain't stirred the pot up too much.
He's kind of he's working with his head down right now.
He might be going through it. He might be just checking on new material that he's going to use when the season gets started. I think that's possible because he is. I agree with you, D. He's awful quiet.
Yeah, he's quiet. So I think that's if I was to look at a team out of those 4. Or those 3: Missouri, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I like I said, we were talking about yesterday, who could adjust the fastest. I think it's going to be Ole Miss and Arkansas. But I give it to Arkansas because, again, I think the talent level that we immediately have and the coaching staff as a whole, I think is going to win some games for us.
Well, hey, let's get on the bus and let's head all the way to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where we're about to talk to the big fella. One that I know Coach Brad Davis and Sam Pittman 2 years from now would love to have call those Hogs. It's going to be Eli Henderson from Burns High School. The big fella's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a moment. Welcome in. It's our Tuesday edition here on the Hill Patrick Sports Talk Radio on KDSJ 479. We come to you each and every day from 1 to 2 p.m. And before we get to our featured guest, we want to give a thank you to the people that make this possible. With that being said, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. That's Locomotion. It's located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one I always talk about because I'm there all the time, KDK's Chicken. It's located down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith, Kathy, get a plate of love. And they say it on the building, it's not your mama's, but I said they got the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there, beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 South Razorback Road. And now on to our Hog Eye segment, as we keep telling you, they don't stop watching, and we don't either. Coach Pittman said it, and I'll say it and say it. He's trying to make a brand in that 22 class. Felt like they had to get their name out there. And there's one particular kid that's about to join us today that knows quite a bit about Sam Pittman due to a prior relationship. And we're going to bring him on all the way from Spartanburg, South Carolina, Burns High School, and high prospect in that 2022 class, Eli Henderson. E, welcome to OTH.
I appreciate it, Pat. I'm glad to be here.
Eli, let's get off into the recruiting process, big fella. Sam Pittman offered you your very first offer, as we spoke last night, while he was at Georgia. Quite the emotional time. Talk about that, and then what did that mean for you, Eli, that Coach moved to Arkansas and still offered you to, be a part of his program with him being the head guy?
Well, when he first offered me, I mean, it was really emotional for not just me, but for my family and for him. But it was magical, you know what I mean? So, but not only be offered once, but twice by a dude. I mean, that shows that he wants you, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that holds volume, you know. So I told him I appreciate it, and that means a lot to me. And hopefully we can get something good out of this,
When you look at this, Eli, how big is that to have the offensive line coach, Brad Davis, being a major recruiter in your process, along with Coach Pittman, to have those two guys hone in, and then Eli, you sit there on draft day and you see two guys from Georgia, Sam Pittman guys, go in the first round. How big is that to have an offensive line coach be the guy building a relationship, and he's going to be with you if you choose Fayetteville for the next 3 or 4 years?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, he's putting my name up there with guys of that caliber, and I'm insanely flattered, for him to think of me like that. And it's kind of humbling at the same point, because them dudes are making millions of dollars and get paid to do my dream, you know what I mean? And
right.
That's ultimately my goal. But it's a blessing, and I appreciate the respect that he gives me.
Coach Davis, you said you talked to a lot, the offensive line coach there. What are those conversations like, if you care to share them?
Oh, it's really good, man. He's an energetic guy. Every time he's always yelling when I answer the phone or whatever. But he's a cool dude, man. I really like Coach Davis.
It's so early in the process, Eli. Who are some of the other schools, like they say on social media, that's showing you the love?
Oh, well, Georgia's still coming at me pretty hard. VT, Arizona State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Syracuse, Illinois. That's just a couple.
Now, when you sat down, Eli, with your offensive line coach and the entire offensive staff there at Burns, what was it that you felt good about after that sophomore year, and what were some of the notes that you made to yourself that this is what I'm going to work on during the off season?
Well, coming out of the sophomore year, I realized that being here, these guys care. You know what I mean? It's a different type of culture for around here. Coming from, I'm not originally from Burns, so coming from somewhere else into the program and seeing how much you guys care, that was huge for me. But coming out of it, I felt like I can really work on pursuing the play down the field. Being that one guy out of 10 that's right there with the ball carrier.
Right. Now,
and just being overall just a nasty dude. You know what I mean? I want to be nasty in everything I do. You know.
talking with Eli Henderson of Burns High School out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. He's a 2022 big-time offensive line prospect. Now, you told me, Eli, that you're going to play a new position at the center spot this upcoming year. Talk about, that change and how excited you are just to learn yet another position on that offensive line.
Oh yeah, I mean I always want to be useful in every situation, and I felt like being I played tackle and I've played guard, and I can play anywhere on the line except I haven't played center yet, and I figured out this year I should go ahead and add that to my arsenal, and I found out that I like it a lot, so we're gonna see how it works out this year, but I really do like center, and I really like having that little slot of a weapon in my arsenal.
Eli, who are some of the NFL or collegiate offensive line guys that you like to pay attention to, either on Saturday or Sunday, take parts, and then implement it on the weekends in your game?
Oh, Taylor Lewan, just because that dude's a straight swagger that he walks on the field. He
Right.
knows the dude on the field that you don't want to mess with. But I'm good friends with Zach Bailey. He came out of South Carolina. He's in Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now.
Right.
That dude, he's helped me a lot throughout the years and helped me a lot with my technique and everything. But Kelsey out of Philadelphia, that's center 101 right there. That dude's technique is impeccable.
Right. Now, when I come to Burns High School, Eli, I'm going to get my pop, my 20-ounce Sprite, and a bag of popcorn. It's a great stadium there in Burns because I've seen your stadium on TV quite a bit. I'm in the top bleacher. I'm writing my notes. What will those notes say that I saw the type of player in Eli Henderson for 4 quarters?
Well, I would like. I mean, you can ask people I go against, but I would like to think that they would probably say something like, "That dude's a go after it." You know what I mean? That dude's not gonna stop.
Right.
That dude, he's a nasty guy, visibly nasty and mean, pissed off dude on the field. But he can also calm down and evaluate what's going on in the box and see what's going down. Slow the game down and work with some technique.
You have a couple of years left there at Burns, your junior and senior campaign, but when you make that step to Power 5 football, Eli, what is it about Burns and the community of Spartanburg, South Carolina, that you'll be able to hang your hat on at whatever college you choose down the road?
Man, this is football USA. I mean, guys come out of here and they are football.
Right.
So coming from this place and being here and having this amount culture for football and just saying I'm a part of this, that's huge to me.
Could you tell listeners something that they may not know about Eli Henderson that you'd like to share with them?
Man, I'm a huge music kid. I love music. Every single bit of music I can find and get my hands on, I always listen to it. So my playlist is all over the place.
Which leads me to the next question, my man. Riding around Spartanburg, me and you, Eli. I mean, you in the car with the OG. I hope you got it ready. Well, the first 5 songs on the playlist. What we vibing to, my man?
Look, I love music, and this was a hard question. But I'm gonna have to go with my first one. It's gonna be Curtis Lowe by Leonard Skinner. So that's
Okay.
OG, my papa. And then for my mama, that's gonna be Regulators.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
me. That's me. Tell your mom I'm with her.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna play Can You Stand the Rain?
Oh my goodness.
All right, that's a good one.
You playing with the OG's heart right now.
Yes, sir. Then I'm gonna have to go with anything Kanye, but I think I'm gonna go with Runaway by Kanye West.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go with the Down South Boys, Outkast, anything Outkast. I'd probably go 13th Floor Outkast.
Now, see, my producer, Demetrius, and I'm pretty sure you got a chance to check out the show and that beat that we play. That's him doing all that cooking. And when you said Outcast, he perked up to that, Eli. But last question, my big fella, and thanks you for taking time out here on OTH, but I want to make a statement, and if you would, finish it for me. When football is done with, you played collegiately, hopefully fulfilled your dream of playing in the professional ranks. Hung it up, Eli. Eli Henderson of Spartanburg, South Carolina, Burns High School will be doing what with his life after football?
I mean, I got a lot of stuff to give back to the AC4, so I think I'll probably come back here, and whether it's coaching for high school or coaching, a little league or whatever, I want to get some of these kids out of bad situation that they're in,
Right.
and try to get them out of stuff that shouldn't be in using football. I always want to use football to help better someone else's life.
Well, Eli, we love having you on. I'm telling you, this is just the first of many occasions you being on the show, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, big fella, thanks for taking time out. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get that lab work in, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, you too, Eli.
Have a good one.
That was Eli Henderson, big 2022 offensive line prospect out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Burns High School did one of the elite programs in that state. And Demetrius, I'm going to go over here because I watched film with the big fella, and boy, was I impressed. And it just further illustrates the type of offensive line play and the type of program that Coach Pittman and Coach Brad Davis are going to try to bring to that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, to me, he's just ahead of his time as far as where his technique is and where he sees himself in the future. And, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the show about how these kids are so advanced because things we were getting when we get to college,
right,
they're getting now in the 5th and 6th grade. So now, once you get to high school, you're already doing either college level training or you're doing either professional level training. And you can definitely see that Eli has a surrounding and comes from a program where they do produce a lot of top tier athletes. You can just see it with this technique.
I want to make a note. Nick, who always comes in with great and is a friend of our producer, but the guy has great insight, and we want to thank Nick for supporting us. But Nick says, I'm optimistic. I think we can beat Missouri and Mississippi State. Nick also says A&M is usually a close one. I'll let you attack that, Demetrius, and then I'll attack it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the A&M game is going to be Sam Pittman legendary. That's how he's going to ride his ship. Because when you really
A&M, Demetrius, can you imagine? You
when,
got Alabama and LSU and Tennessee all following that, but can you imagine if they beat A&M? Because I'm of the belief, and you've heard me say this many times. I think, like I said, it was Georgia's year last year. Didn't see LSU. I think this is going to be a year in the SEC West that A&M has a chance to be really good.
Again, I think it's going to be key because right before that A&M game, you got Notre Dame that they play. So I think, that's the game that I've been talking about. However that Notre Dame game goes, that's how our season goes. Because I'm a person that believes in momentum, and I believe if you can give somebody hope and faith, which I firmly believe if this team does get, they're going to get a lot of swagger about themselves because I think, again, with the type of coaches we have, they understand momentum and understand how to put players in position to get the best out of them.
Right.
And they're not afraid to adjust and adapt. Even though they go in with a strategic plan, they can kind of make adjustments on the fly.
Absolutely.
And I think when you core that with players believing in themselves and playing like they're somebody, I think you can get a great result.
Right. And I think, when you look at just another illustration of the offensive line that Coach Jim, when you look at film of Eli, big, nasty, very agile, moves really well. And that's been the case with all of those 2022 kids we talk about that have come on our show. Big-time prospects in that class. We're going to continue to say it. This season can turn out where the Hogs get 5 or 6 wins. Write it down. If I'm wrong, you can call back after the signing class of 2022. But I think they will cherry pick and have one of the more decorated classes to ever come to Fayetteville in that 2022 class. I really firmly believe that, and by the conversations that we've had with most of these kids.
Hey, y'all heard it on the Hill Sports Talk, and I'm telling you, this man talks to. There's no other sports writer or columnist or whatever you want to call it, journalist in Arkansas that has more insight than recruiting than Pat Jenkins. So for him to come out and say we're gonna have one of the top classes, I definitely have to believe that.
I appreciate that, my man. And that's going to wrap up our show today. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Frey M. Gumby from West Oaks Academy out of Orlando, Florida. We'll make attempts to have him on at some point this week. Kids got to do what they got to do. And we respect that. They want to get in the lab to get better, and we're always trying to get better. So with that being said, I want to thank our guest, big-time 2022 offensive line prospect Eli Henderson out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Burns High School, one of the elite programs, and he's one of the elite linemen in that 22 class that Coach Pittman. I think they got a real shot at this big fella. I'm not going to call him a young kid. I'm going to call him a big man. I think they got a shot at him. I want to give a thank you to my producer behind the scenes, Demetrius Demigod Johnson. Once again, all beats produced and played by Sauced Up Entertainment, LLC. Go check out their YouTube page. I'm pretty sure you're going to like what they cooking. Conley for 3. I mean, those guys do a really good job. And lastly, our sponsors. We want to give them some love. Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one that I think we on our way over at D. You know what you getting today, man? I already know he said, don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. KDK's Chicken. They're down there at 989 South Razorback Road. Get on down there and see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of the love. It's not your mama's. Best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 South Razorback Road. But for myself, my producer, to all of you guys, thanks for the questions and viewership. Man, keep this thing going. Keep it going. It's all about us. When we do it together, we do it the best way. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and you know what I gotta say. Let's get it.